How is everything in Sweden?
Well, you know what? It's Swedish summer, so people are on holiday and on vacation, and they are. A few weeks ago, we had very much summer weather, but nowadays it's a bit more cloudy and rainy, so
Yes.
we're not that crowded in the beaches. That is a good thing when you're supposed to keep the distance. But otherwise, we're coping with the pandemic situation
Yes.
quite well, I think, even if we have this international focus and debate on our strategy, but I think we're coping quite well.
So that's good. That's good. I think that's good news that you are doing well on the corona front.
We have a situation which has been, I mean, it's changing, and in the last month we have very much positive developing situation when it comes to both infected and people in hospital care and intensive care and deceased persons. So you're very low compared to where we were in April. So we're really trying for people to keep up with all the recommendations and keep the distance and have a good hand hygiene and all those kind of things that we're saying every day. So we're really trying.
So what's your feedback about the people's cooperation in terms of wearing masks and maintaining social distance and maintaining hand hygiene, respiratory etiquettes and all those things? Are the people behaving in a disciplined manner by and large or not?
Actually, they are, even if we can see that they're a bit tired of all these restrictions. They have been keeping them since March. But
Yes.
I would say that we still have a very different society. I mean, if I go to a restaurant or to a store or the bus or anything, you have signs on the floor saying keep the distance, don't stay closer than this. People are staying home if they are ill. We have that more of checking capacity. I see that you have increased your capacity really also in India, and I think that's so essential to make sure that people with symptoms have the possibility to have a test to know if they're infected or not.
Okay.
Still, they should keep the distance, of course, but we can see that they have been keeping distance, and we're trying, to really have lots of information campaigning and
So what do
all
you so what do you think is your biggest concern right now on the corona front, as far as your country is concerned?
Well, in the beginning, we had lots of discussions and a big worry for the PPE,
Yes.
personal protection equipment, and I think that is something which is partly worrying us still because we know that the pandemic is
Yes.
still here,
Yes.
and we also have the situation with the vaccine, with the medical drugs, all the things that we can get lack of when other countries are closing the borders, stopping transports. We have all the time said that we should not close the borders because that will not stop COVID-19 from being spread.
Yes.
What's stopping COVID-19 is that people are keeping the distance and really taking care of each other, protecting the vulnerable groups. So I think that is something, closing borders, that is something worrying us. And also, of course, all the situation, we cannot meet, you and me, but also the thing that we know that we need each other all around the world, between countries, and just having this kind of digital meetings all the time, that will not build solidarity or relations, which is so extremely important. So that's worrying me fully. How about you?
Yes, you are right. You didn't close the borders because COVID hasn't respected borders and all. It has affected everyone all across the world equally. So,
Yeah. When I think about this memorandum of understanding, I had the opportunity to visit India in, I think it's a year and a half ago. And that was, you were not elected at that time, so I met the minister before you, but that was a very good time for many good meetings.
Yes.
We're trying to, keep them up. And
Yes.
you met my state secretary in December when
Yes.
we had a visit from Sweden.
Yes.
That was also important. So trying to keep it up. We didn't meet in April, but we will have to find other ways to meet to make sure that we can renew this
Oh yes.
memorandum. I think that would
No.
be important.
Oh yes, it's a very important time in our relationship. We have already completed a decade of a very vibrant and very useful partnership between the two countries, and I think on many fronts we have been working together. There had been at least bilateral meetings also. I suppose more than 10 meetings have happened in the last decade itself. That's, I think, pretty good, because normally sometimes you have the MOU signed, but you don't follow it up with actually dynamic working or dynamic follow-ups. But in our relationship with Sweden, when I reviewed the whole thing, especially here in health also, I think we have done quite well, and I look forward to another spell of this great vibrant relationship between the two countries. A lot of activities that India has done quite, I think, quite well also, and we are doing it in a very, very ambitious manner, especially our universal health coverage program, the Ayushman Bharat program. Already it's helping over 100 million families, which means almost 550 million people. So it's like and on almost many other fronts we have been trying to proactively handle many issues related to maternal mortality, under 5 mortality, elimination of tuberculosis, going ahead with our national digital health program. So there are many fronts on which, and especially this antimicrobial resistance, the challenges before the whole world. I think our relationship with Sweden has so many things to do together, and we can continue to, in spite of this present crisis, we can at least reaffirm our faith in each other, and then start with a renewed vigor and enthusiasm. And I'm so happy that you were so keen to talk, and we were all for last almost 1.5 months we have been trying to talk to each other. So it was eagerness on both sides, and I'm sorry we couldn't talk to each other earlier, but we can take this meeting as another stepping stone for another decade of great activity on the health front. Incidentally, I am also Science and Technology Minister and Earth Sciences Minister, so there also we can actually work together. We have been, in fact, with the other department also, we have very vibrant relationship with many countries, and so I look forward to this meeting as one very important milestone, not a routine virtual meeting.
Should I congratulate you to the position in WHO as chairing the executive committee? What do you think about WHO and I mean their role in the pandemic? What do you have any thoughts, ideas?
As far as the pandemic is concerned, we are all the strategy to handle it has been almost universally the same, and all of us are broadly following the guidelines which have been set by the World Health Organization, and of course our experts here. In India we started very, very early, and on 8th of January itself, that was just one day after China had told WHO about the presence of the coronavirus. In India, we had our experts meeting on 8th of January itself, and within a week to 10 days time, we had developed detailed health advisories for all our health officials and our health ministries all over the country. And then we started all these point of entry surveillance and community surveillance activities at our airports and ship ports and our land borders very early in the day. And then the lockdown also went very well, and then we are now in the unlock 2 stage. We had 4 consecutive lockdowns, and then we had the unlock 1 for a month or so, and this is now the unlock 2 which has started. So by and large, a significant amount of normal activity has started. It's not like 100%, but we are gradually, in a very graded manner, opening up. And right from the beginning, our strategy has been very proactive and very sort of preemptive and in a graded manner. And right now, ours is a very vast country. We have so many Swedens here in the country, so many states are there, and with a population of 1.35 billion, we right now we have a very good recovery rate of almost 61%, and a mortality rate which right now ranges between 2 and 3%. It's around 2.78% or so. So we think that we have done reasonably quite well, and in a day we are almost testing 2.5 lakh people. Only day before we completed testing of 1 crore people. That's about 10 million people we completed in a day. We started with 1 lab 4 months back, and now we have almost 1100 labs in the country which are doing the RT-PCR test, etc. So, and we have in fact ramped up our not only the testing facilities, but all over the country we have created dedicated COVID hospitals, COVID health centers and COVID care centers, where it's almost over 13 lakh beds have been created dedicatedly for handling these COVID patients. A large number of these beds are still vacant, so that's how we are managing the whole thing. Means in the meantime, we have been able to bring back many of our stranded Indians from all parts of the world. We did it during the early part of the pandemic also. So I think we hope that the next few weeks or maybe another 1-2 months we should see. We have already, means we never had an exponential growth in the curve. It's like a plateau. And recently we allowed migration of a few million laborers and our migrant workers from one part of the country to other part of the country, and say from urban areas to the rural areas. But in spite of that massive transfer of people from one place to other, we didn't see a significant surge in the infection and all. And as on today, in spite of this being such a big country, we haven't gone into any community transmission stage as per our experts. So you were mentioning about these initial difficulties in your country about the PPEs, and also we also had these initial troubles because we were not manufacturing these PPEs. But within this last few months, we have been able to develop this capacity for manufacturing PPEs in the country. More than 100 manufacturers, and today we are almost manufacturing 5 lakh PPEs in a day. And similarly is for the N95 masks. We are also developing ventilators in the country. So that part also we have taken care of quite well. Hydroxychloroquine, you know, the prophylactic drug, we are supplying to almost over 100 countries now. So things are quite stable, except we are waiting for the coronavirus to stop behaving in that like a menace. It has been a menace for the whole world, and hopefully as the whole world is working, our scientists are also working for the development of the vaccine, or working for the drug discovery, or for repurposing of the drugs. It's not only the health ministry and our scientists here, but even our routine scientists in my science and technology ministry. They are all working very hard on all the fronts. We have isolated the virus, and we are doing genetic sequencing of over 1000 viruses. We have done for quite a bit of them. So it's like on all fronts, and it's not only a health ministry approach, it's a total government approach, and the Prime Minister himself is leading from the front, monitoring everything on a regular basis, basically.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the health ministers has been in focus, of course, for the pandemic, but all the ministers and all the departments and authorities are extremely involved, of course, in
Yes.
not only fight against the pandemic, but also all the consequences, the economical and the social ones, and all the domestic violence and everything which comes in the track or pace of the pandemic. And we are also in Sweden, we are trying to prepare for maybe a second wave, but extremely, maybe not only for an extreme second wave, but for smaller or bigger outbreaks locally or regionally, so that we don't have to have all the measures, the lockdowns, closing schools or whatever in all over Sweden, but in the specific areas.
Yes.
I don't know how you're doing. I mean, you're so much bigger country, but it's so important that we don't close down the societies more than we have to, but that we really isolate the virus in regions and municipalities where you can see that you have an increasing spread of the virus. And we're trying to prepare for the autumn, where we think that will be maybe the way that the virus is.
You see,
hitting back.
nobody in the world knows whether there is a second wave or a third wave, or when will it come, whether it will come or not. But right from the beginning, as far as our country is concerned, we had been, you see, we had, as I said, we had a proactive and a preemptive sort of strategy. So we had been imagining and like apprehending that even if there is a worst to worst sort of situation, we have our preparations on for that. So even though the things are like it's a sort of a plateau sort of situation, although some cases have number has risen in the country, because we have ramped up the testing facilities, and number one, doing more and more of testing, promoting testing, relaxed our norms for testing and all. So even for the worst situation, whether this particular wave goes further or whether we have a second, third wave, we have made adequate preparations in the country. We have like imagined that if we have a very worst sort of situation, what do we do? So as you said, that you are also anticipating and making your preparations according to that. But let's hope the world doesn't have a second wave or something, and it settles gradually, like many other viruses that have come in the past and invaded the globe.
Yeah, but being prepared just for the small outbreaks, because I think that it will be a disaster if we always face the virus with the national lockdowns, that we need to isolate the virus, but make sure that we have the society function in the best possible way. And of course, we're hoping for a vaccine, but I'm not sure. No one is sure, of course, but how early, and I mean the consequences and the risks you're taking if it's too early, if you have too little of the clinical studies, of course. We had that kind of discussion and debate in Sweden in 2009. We had the pandemic at that time, or epidemic situation, where we had a vaccine. And a few hundred young persons had some kind of very severe diseases instead of the pandemic, and that is a big debate in Sweden. So we will have to make sure that
Yes.
we have tried the best we can. At the same time, we have to be fast. Of course, otherwise will the pandemic take lives in another part. So that will be not easy to decide how early to use a vaccine. On contrary, how much more of the pandemic can the society take? So
You see,
looking for the best.
yes, of course, we are all praying and hoping for the best, and all through, as you said, ultimately the key to success will be how the society and the people behave. So all through all these 5 months, I have been propagating one thing, that treat social distancing and all these change in habits that are being advocated by the governments and the experts as the real social vaccine. Because don't wait for the vaccine which will help individuals, but use this social vaccine and use these social distancing norms and wearing of the mask and all. So by and large, people have behaved significantly responsibly, although after we started the unlock thing, there was some you see, like laxity in people following guidelines and all that. But we have been emphasizing time and again that the key to success and the key to protect yourself from coronavirus is ultimately using the mask and keeping a distance from others and avoiding the social gatherings and all those things. And the whole world, I think there's a new normal that has developed for all of us. We don't know for how much of time and how many months or how many years this, but my personal feeling is that like many other viruses have also come in the past, although we have been able to eradicate smallpox and polio from the whole world, means polio maybe most of the world, and smallpox from the whole world, but rest of the virus ultimately they come to stay, and they come back in some endemic proportions in some places. So it ultimately it should settle like that only. This is what I personally feel about the whole this COVID-19.
Dear Minister, may I suggest that we coordinate some kind of a joint working group between our ministries together with public agencies and organizations in the fall, possibly digitally. That is maybe the way we will have to work. I think that will ensure that we don't lose momentum and that we can find new ways and new areas of working in this pandemic. I mean, we cannot let the pandemic stop us, but we have to rethink and do it in another way.
No, I'm fully receptive, and I thoroughly endorse what you said just now, that we could follow this meeting between both of us with a virtual meeting between the experts on both the sides. Some of my colleagues are already here with me, my joint secretaries and related experts, they are right now here with me, and I can instruct them straight away to follow up with your officials there and plan this virtual joint working group. We don't wait for the whole corona thing to settle and then we have these physical meetings either here in India or in Sweden. We can certainly I love to have those meetings followed up so that we don't lose anything in terms of our quality of implementation of our relationship and the various facets on which both the countries work. So I agree with you. You can also instruct your officials there, and I am straight away there. All my officials are sitting with me right now. I'm instructing them, and then they can follow up with your team, and we can have a follow-up meeting of both the groups in the near future.
I do that as soon as we finish this call. They will make a contact. So thank you so much for taking your time. We will keep the distance and keep up the good work.
Okay, okay.
And we'll see your in the future.
It was pleasure meeting you and hearing your views, and I look forward to many more meetings. Maybe I don't know whether physical meetings in the near future we can have, but we can certainly meet virtually. We'll keep in touch on the phone also, and I'll follow up on these virtual meetings. And I wish you good health and good health for the people of Sweden, and especially blessing of God for protection against Corona.
The same to you, Mister.
Welcome.
Goodbye.
Welcome. Namaste.